SCORE Northeast Wisconsin and WHBY are pleased to bring you Biztalk, a chance for you to hear from entrepreneurs and professionals as they share their experiences. From starting to sustaining growth, learn the skills needed for your business to be successful. If you miss anything, you can catch the Biztalk podcast at score.org/Northeast Wisconsin. And now from the Myron Construction Studio, it's Biztalk on WHBY.
Good morning and welcome to Biz Talk with SCORE on WHBY. I'm Rick Sense, and with me today is Terry Pinch. Terry, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, Rick. How are you?
I'm doing well. Getting much biking in with the rain we had this past week?
Yeah, my streak was broken at 33 straight days, but I'm back biking again. I went twice yesterday. I'm going to go out again this afternoon, which, by the way, will be the first time it's been in the 70s when I go biking in a long time.
Yeah, it's been an interesting weather year so far.
Yeah.
Well, our guest today is Manny Vasquez, who is the partner and VP of business development for Pfefferle Companies here in the area. And I just want to disclose, I've known Manny for many years. He and I didn't actually work together, but we kind of did. But we'll get into that a little bit later. Manny, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Rick. Thanks to you and Terry for having me on.
Well, it's great to have you on. Could you maybe give just the quick overview of what Pfefferle's mission is and what you guys do for the community?
You bet. Pfefferle Companies was founded in 1971 here in Appleton, and we provide real estate services. That's our mission, to continue to be an industry leader and provide best-in-class real estate services. So specifically, we help clients of different sizes and types sell, lease, buy, develop, and manage commercial properties. So when we say full-service commercial real estate firm, that's kind of what we mean. We help on the front end to either sell or acquire property, and on the back end to manage the facilities and the property as well. So that's the company in a nutshell.
What kind of business sizes do you work with?
Yeah, really a variety. I mean, we work with multinational corporations with multiple locations, multiple needs that go beyond the state of Wisconsin geographically. And, the small mom and pop retailers, for example, or office users, or small industrial companies, manufacturing companies in the area. So really a variety of clients and businesses. If you operate or run a business, you need space to do that in, whether that's office, retail, industrial, or a combination. And that's where we come in to help.
Could you walk listeners through a typical day that you might experience?
Well, one of the fun parts about this job is that no 2 days are alike, it seems like. Since we cover a wide variety of services and also geography, so we have offices throughout the state, 5 of them, including Appleton, Green Bay, Milwaukee, Sheboygan, and Wausau. So because of our footprint and our areas of expertise, every day is a little different, right? One day we could be touring a manufacturing facility in Green Bay. The next day we might be touring a church in Oshkosh, and et cetera. So, to answer your question, there is no typical day, I guess, but my role specifically is to create and foster new opportunities for the company. So I have a lot of meetings. I tell my kids when they ask how my day was, lots of meetings, lots of coffees, meeting with municipalities and developers, tenants, landlords, and any real estate user who has a real estate need or may have a real estate need. I also get to sit on a few different boards on behalf of the company, specifically economic development boards, which that's my former career. So I think once you are in that industry, you tend to stick around in some ways. So that also keeps me pretty busy in engaging with those organizations.
You brought up the background there, Manny. Could you maybe give listeners a little bit of your resume from the economic development world and what led you to ending up at Pfefferle?
Yeah, so I ran the economic development program through the Fox Cities Chamber here in the Appleton area for about 3 years, and that was called Fox Cities Regional Partnership. It's still an entity that's affiliated with the chamber here in town. And we focused on marketing the Fox Cities region to recruit new companies to come here, to help existing companies stay and grow here. And especially toward the end of my tenure there, talent was and is a huge priority. So we sort of shifted a bit in recruiting companies and tried to recruit talent, people to the area, which again is still very relevant today. So that work led me to meet Mr. John Pfefferle, who's our chairman and CEO. He is still involved in the company. John's a great man, and he planted a seed one day and told me about his company. And I was familiar with Pfefferle because in my previous role, I relied on Pfefferle and their team quite a bit, along with other brokers and real estate companies, to provide real estate information to prospects and folks who were reaching out asking for information on the Fox Cities in Northeast Wisconsin. So I had a really good perspective of what Pfefferle did, and they had a great reputation. So when John spoke to me about this potential role, which was new and created about 8 years ago now, 8.5 years ago, I was really excited about it, and it just seemed like a really good fit for me.
And then prior to that, you worked in the world of government. You have a very interesting background. Listeners might not know this, but you've actually worked for 2 different U.S. senators from different parties. Can you maybe give listeners an idea of how that has impacted your career, and what have you brought forward from those roles into your current experiences and your current efforts that you do for Pfefferle?
Yeah, I was really lucky. So right out of college, I worked for a Democratic senator on the Hill in DC as a staff assistant. And it was a great job. It didn't pay very well, but it taught me a lot. And I was answering phone calls in basically the front desk of that Washington DC office, learning a lot about Wisconsin and Wisconsinites who called and expressed their opinions. And I worked for that senator for 3 years, and then the incoming senator who beat him offered me a job, and I decided to stick around and work for the new senator, who was a conservative Republican, politically very, very different from my previous boss. And I always say I worked for each one about almost exactly for 3 years, so I'm an equal opportunity employee. And I learned a lot. I think one of the first things that I realized and learned is that it's important to listen and respect different political viewpoints, which apparently is very rare these days. I met with a variety of people from all walks of life, from business executives to nonprofit leaders to municipalities to individual constituents, who all had a message for the senator. And my job was to listen and relay those messages to my boss. So I learned a lot, met a lot of great people. And I knew and still do where I fall politically, personally. And I always tried to not let that interfere with my role, with my job. And I think I did that fairly well. And a number of those people that I met a number of years ago through that work are now clients and friends and contacts. So it was very rewarding work. Now, do I miss it? I miss parts of it. But I think politically it's really tough right now, the political environment. So I don't miss that part.
And how has that experience translated into your role at Pfefferle?
Well, it introduced me to a number of businesses and people. And I think when you work in business development, the goal is to sell. And I've heard business leaders say, always be closing, always be selling, which I agree with. But I think something that's underrated, understated in sales is the ability to listen to people, right? Listen to the client, listen to the prospect. What are their actual needs? So that I try to bring to my role here at Pfefferle. When we have meetings with clients and prospects, I think it's really important for us to truly understand what their needs and their questions are and try to help them, rather than make assumptions or, try to sell something that is not relevant to them. It also helped me organize my time, and, try to strike a balance between work and life, which is really tough sometimes. So I think it taught me a lot because I was much younger. I think it taught me some basic sort of organizational skills as well, along with all the other more, kind of the listening and the ability to communicate and all those things.
Manny, earlier you mentioned you were living and working in Washington. How did you end up in Wisconsin?
Great question. It was a girl. That's the short answer. I went to Marquette University in Milwaukee, and prior to that, we lived in Chicago, went to high school in Chicago, and I thought I was going to do what most of my friends from high school did, which is go to college and go back to Chicago after graduation. I was lucky enough, like I said, to land a job in DC once I was done at Marquette. And I think it was that connection, that strong connection to Wisconsin, working for a Wisconsin U.S. Senator, along with a girl, really brought me back to Wisconsin. I didn't think I was going to come back after my stint in DC. So we started a family here. We lived in Fitchburg in the Madison area, started our family there, bought our first home there, and eventually made our way up to the Valley. And we've been here now for, 13 years. So this is home.
So what would you tell somebody that you're maybe get a call from or that you reach out to in a business situation that is hesitant about coming to Wisconsin or moving to Wisconsin? What do you tell them to convince them that, hey, they shouldn't have that hesitation?
Well, it's cliche, but it's a great place to raise a family. The quality of life thing is real. I've been lucky enough to live in Chicago, Miami, Washington, D.C., Milwaukee, and, then Appleton, which is very different, right? Demographically and in all sorts of ways. But the quality of life from the time you spend commuting to work and to, drop off your kids at practice, to safety and cost, and also professional and career opportunities that are here versus in a much larger city. I quickly realized that this place had and has a lot more than people realize. So what I would tell someone who was hesitant, I would invite them to spend some time here. I think when you're doing a desktop search of Appleton, Wisconsin, you may not find what we all know exists here. So I think it's really impactful when you come here and you spend some time, visiting with people and going to places here and realizing that, boy, there's actually more here than people realize. All the amenities of a big city, or at least a lot of them, are within a 10, 15, 30-minute drive. So it's accessible, it's affordable. So that would be my advice. I know a number of friends who, have this perception of Wisconsin as Packers, cheese, cows, and cold. I don't mind any of those things, and beer, right? But I think the story is a lot more, there's just more to it, right? There's more to it than that.
Okay. That's a good point to take our first break. You're listening to Biztalk with Score and WHBY, and we'll be right back with Manny Vasquez.
Good morning and welcome back to Biztalk with Score on WHBY. I'm Rick Sense along with Terry Pinch this week. And our guest is Manny Vasquez, a partner and VP of Business Development for Pfefferle Companies here in our area. But before we get back to our conversation with Manny, I just want to take a moment to talk about Score Northeastern Wisconsin. SCORE Northeast Wisconsin serves an 18-county area in Northeast Wisconsin, plus the county of Menominee in Michigan. We have over 50 volunteers, each an expert in their field, offering entrepreneurs no-cost and confidential mentoring. Those areas of expertise include IT, social media, marketing, cash flow, accounting, strategic planning, workflow, human resources, retail best practices, and many, many others. In order to register for a no-cost confidential mentoring session and or to learn more about SCORE Northeast Wisconsin, please visit our website at score.org/Northeast Wisconsin. You can learn more about how the SCORE chapter can assist you with starting and or growing your business, and you can complete an application for a mentoring session. Simply complete the online form and submit it to SCORE. Within a few days, a SCORE mentor will be contacting you to set up a meeting. Remember, SCORE is no cost and offers experts in fields that are varied that can offer you assistance in many different areas. To get started, visit our website at score.org/Northeast Wisconsin. And to support small business people, SCORE Northeast Wisconsin is always looking for new mentors. If you have experience that you would like to share with others, we'd love to talk to you. We welcome volunteers with experience in all aspects of business. Small business owners need your help, and your experience can make a real difference to their success. Go to score.org/Northeast Wisconsin, click on the volunteer button and fill out the short application, and we'll get back to you to explain more. Thanks again for joining us this morning on Biztalk, and now back to you, Terry.
Okay, and we're talking to Manny Vasquez, a partner and vice president of business development at the Pfefferle Corporation, or Pfefferle Companies, sorry. So, Manny, pretty much everybody in the Valley knows about Pfefferle. Well, if you haven't read about it, you've seen the signs everywhere, and it has grown very well. Everybody knows it. And in order to do that, you've got to have a pretty good reputation over time. So how did the Pfefferle Company build its reputation, and how does it plan to grow and sustain and grow it over time?
Yeah, that's a good question, Terry. I think, I know that it usually comes down to leadership, right? So I will start with John Pfefferle and his family being purposeful in what they wanted to do with this company. And from the very beginning, the focus was commercial real estate. So we still have that as our main focus. We are exclusively in the commercial real estate world, which is very different than the residential world. We work with a number of residential realtors, and we often joke that our deal flow, our clients, our work is pretty different. So I think being focused on what we know really well, what we specialize in, what we're good at is part of the secret. I also think that surrounding ourselves with really bright people, hard-working people who have that same drive as the leadership of the company is very important. Today, Pfefferle has close to 140 employees altogether throughout the state, and the culture. I know a lot of business folks talk about business culture and the company culture, but it's really palpable here. And we work really hard, but it's also a company that values personal and family time. It's a family company, started by the Pfefferles. So that has really carried over through the last 50 plus years. As far as our plans to continue to grow. So, one of the decisions that John and the leadership team made years ago was to affiliate Pfefferle with a national and global commercial real estate platform. What that means is we are affiliated with a network called NAI Global. NAI Global is one of the largest commercial real estate networks in the world, which is made up of more than 300 individual offices like Pfefferle. We are all independently owned and operated, which is pretty unique. None of us are corporate shops. And part of the growth plan is to leverage that affiliation and that connectivity to brokers like us around the country and around the world. So, for example, we attend conferences. We have a number of conference calls and networking opportunities with brokers like us from around the country. And there are a lot of opportunities within the network alone. So for example, a broker in Minneapolis has a buyer who's looking for land in Wisconsin. So those inbound and outbound leads and referrals are a great way to continue to grow and sort of broaden our reach. The other way is more internal and more focused on the state of Wisconsin is by adding more offices. So earlier this year, as of January 1, we added and opened a new office in Milwaukee. We hired existing brokers who had been practicing or working in the greater Milwaukee area for a number of years. So we had that local expertise, and they're doing a great job now trying to grow and expand the Pfefferle brand and resources down in greater Milwaukee. And it's been interesting because, to your point, Terry, we, I think, are really well known in Northeast Wisconsin and in Central Wisconsin. But, you know, we're a smaller fish in a bigger pond in the greater Milwaukee area. So it's been challenging, but a good kind of challenge where we have to establish ourselves as, you know, an industry leader. What's kind of neat is when we have meetings with folks down there and when our team talks to people in Milwaukee, especially brokers or folks in the real estate industry, they've heard of the name. They've heard of Pfefferle. They might have done a deal with our team in the past. So now they know that we are covering their market as well. So we're looking for new ways to collaborate with them and, you know, at times compete with those folks. And I think a couple more growth opportunities along with offices is the people, the brokers. You know, our brokerage division, closed, just to give you an idea, in the year 2024, our brokers completed more than 250 individual real estate deals throughout the state of Wisconsin. And that brought the total number of deals closed by Pfefferle in the last 5 years to over 1,200 individual deals, all commercial real estate deals, all in Wisconsin. So that amounts to more than $875 million in total transaction volume. So we rely on our brokers to close those deals, to work those deals, and we have a great group of folks who, as I said, are hardworking and are really good at their jobs. So now as some of those start to look at retirement or slowing down because of the stage of life and career that they're in, it's on us to find the next generation of brokers who have the same sort of skill sets. And, you know, the new generation might have a new set of skills that other folks didn't have. So it's, you know, how do we use technology? How do we use AI? How are we marketing ourselves? Where are we advertising? In all these things that most businesses are looking at, we have to look at as well. I think all of us here understand that even though we are the largest commercial real estate firm in the area and one of the largest in the state, we won't stay that way unless we keep working and keep selling and keep growing. So it's constant growth mode. And I think that's also part of the secret, right? And part of the recipe.
Great. We're at the point where we're going to take our second break. You're listening to Biztalk with Score on WHBY. I'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back to Biztalk with Score. We'll be back talking to our guest Manny Vasquez in a couple of minutes. But before we get back to Manny, I want to give you a quick update on some Score educational opportunities. The first thing is just a quick reminder that we are sponsoring the third annual Accelerate Your Business for Women 25 event. It is Monday, September 22nd at the Kalahari Resort in Wisconsin Dells. It's a Wisconsin-wide Score event. There is a small fee. It's $89. You can also get discounts at the room in Kalahari, but it's an opportunity to learn, network, gain some real contacts, and learn quite a bit about running your business. So again, it's Accelerate Your Business for Women 25, and it's Monday, September 22nd at the Kalahari Resort. If you go to our website, score.org/Northeast Wisconsin, you will find more information about it. You can click on there and join. The other thing I want to mention is that there have been some changes in some of our webinars. As many of you know, we have hundreds, if not thousands, of webinars out there on the website, but we also do live events. And in the past, the live events have been mostly free. You join those through the webinar series as well, but the live webinars. Well, SCORE is in the process of losing some of its government funding, all of its government funding right now, with some of the bills that are passing. So we're having to do some things differently. So many of the national webinars and events are now going to have a small fee of about $25 as part of the way of raising money. There's still quite a lot of events, live webinars that will be free, but some of the national ones will have a small charge of about $25. So if you see that, that's why. But it is something where we're still trying to keep things affordable and accessible for people. So with that, Rick, I'm going to turn it back to you.
All right. Thanks, Terry. Manny, again, listeners, we're speaking with Manny Vasquez, VP of Business Development for Pfefferle Companies. And Manny, I was wondering if you, hopefully you shined up your crystal ball for us this morning, and you'd be willing to give us, from your perspective at Pfefferle, how does your industry viewing the economy right now? What strengths and weaknesses are you seeing out there?
Yeah, I think one word to sum it up is uncertainty. Not our favorite word, but it's just a reality. So between interest rates and tariffs and sort of the political environment, I think there's just a lot of unknowns, and that impacts the economy and that impacts commercial real estate. So when companies are looking to expand or, add a new location or consolidate or anything that involves growth and physical space and real estate, which impacts our work, when there's a lot of uncertainty swirling around, it's just not a good fit or conducive to more deal flow. So despite that, though, I think it's interesting because as we turn the corner and start the second half of the year, it's starting to open back up. And I don't know if that's because there is a, knock on wood, slight potential that the Fed will lower interest rates later this year, or because folks are starting to just accept the fact that this is the reality that we're living in. And, at the same time, if you need to expand as a business, you need to expand as a business. So folks are starting to make those decisions. So I'll give you one statistic. So in the first quarter of 2025, now granted, this is before the tariffs discussions hit us all, our team closed more than 90 individual sale and lease deals throughout the state of Wisconsin. So that's roughly one deal per day for the first 3 months of the year. So despite the ongoing uncertainty, we're closing deals and there's activity. Now, another trend is deals seem to be taking a little longer than usual. We are not seeing folks completely put the brakes on things. Maybe they're just sort of delaying, right? Or saying, call me back in 6 months versus we're not going to expand. So there's optimism in the next few months, in the next quarter, toward the end of the year, I think, where we see more activity kicking in. Industrial is still really hot. There's still ongoing demand for existing industrial space and not enough supply, especially turnkey industrial space that's ready to be leased, for example. The office market is coming back. In fact, there's a flight for quality when it comes to office space. So companies are saying, if we have to go back to the office, let's make sure that it's nice and comfortable and it has the technology that folks are expecting. And if it's close or walkable to amenities, then that's a plus. So we're seeing that come back pretty strongly. Now hybrid and the hybrid work model is here to stay. I don't see that going anywhere. And maybe that's okay, right? It's just to have the flexibility of, working remotely versus in the office. But even with a hybrid work model, companies still need a physical space, likely. Retail is doing fine. We didn't overbuild retail. In fact, there hasn't been new retail built in the state of Wisconsin in quite a while. So because of that short supply entering the market of new retail space, the existing retail space is leasing just fine. There's a good activity there. So it kind of depends what sector you're looking at, but I would say overall it's pretty optimistic, still uncertain, but it's looking fairly well for the rest of the year.
We all experienced the wonderful thing of called COVID, very recently, and I don't want to get into too much in the COVID stuff, but obviously that was a once in 100-year type event that not a whole lot of organizations were prepared for, and it was really a lot of challenge that we faced in the economy. How did the whole dealing with COVID position you going forward in the economy now? You talked about office space going up again, and obviously the trend was for people to stay home. So how do you think the impact of coming out of COVID, and how long do you think we get back to a normal cycle from your perspective in the real estate market?
Yeah, I don't know what normal is anymore. So I don't know if we ever get back to pre-pandemic, to how things were before the pandemic. I think the office market obviously was the hardest hit, along with retail. Online shopping is pretty much all we could do for a number of months during the pandemic. So it was interesting because that drove demand for warehouse and distribution center space, as online sales skyrocketed. What's interesting is I think there was a lot of pent up demand or interest from folks to get back to the office and get back to an in-person, brick and mortar store to buy a pair of shoes versus, online. So I think coming out of the pandemic, I think we want to be with people again. It's safe now, right? And companies are either strongly encouraging us to come back or making us come back, too. So that's the other dynamic. I do think that, what we're doing here, right, is the virtual meetings and business travel, and again, how we use the office space, all of that has changed, I think, for good. I don't know that we're going back to how things were before the pandemic. But it's been interesting to, I'm sure you guys see it too, as you drive around the area, our restaurants and bars, our retailers, our event spaces. I mean, they're all doing fairly well because I think people want to gather in person again, and not have to wear a mask. What a treat, that is. So I think I see more of that continuing. And if that's, on our way to normalcy, then maybe that's what we consider normal, but it's been interesting.
What sort of things are you at Pfefferle Companies kind of looking for as the challenges and opportunities in the economy going forward for you?
Yeah, I think it's more of that uncertainty and interest rates. I think it's really hard when folks compare to, what interest rates were when it had a 3 in front of it, 3% interest rate in front of it versus a 6, right? And it's a drastic change. So I think we're expecting folks to sort of accept that and understand that we will not go back to how things were. So we're anticipating folks to start making more decisions now regarding their expansions, as I said, their real estate decisions. Even though interest rates aren't where we all wish they were. I think the use of technology, we were talking about that during the break too, is something that we're looking at is, AI is everywhere in every industry and impacting all of us. So as a company, we're looking at how do we use AI in real estate? And we are using that and leveraging that. But, we also are a fairly traditional firm and believe in the in-person connection too. And when you tour a building, it's hard to do that remotely, right? So there's still a need, we believe, for the work we do and for that in-person interaction. So I think it's sort of a combination of the uncertainty, but also some opportunities that are clearly there that we just have to leverage and maximize.
So switching gears a little bit here, Manny, I was wondering if you could share with listeners, someone that's played an important role in your personal growth and success and has really helped you build the foundation for the career path that you've had?
I think my parents. My parents, they just moved to Madison, so they are new Wisconsinites. They moved from the big city of Chicago, and it's funny. My dad was still commuting to work, and he got sick of it, pretty much. So that's why they moved to Madison, where my sister and her family live. Um, they're both immigrants. We all are. We came to the United States when I was 12, and they left everything behind to pursue this American dream thing. And they had great jobs. We had a great life, but they knew that the United States had more opportunities for my sister and I. So we packed our bags, put our house on the market, and we flew here, and the rest is history. So they've always been just the best advisors. As parents, they always want what's best for their kids, right? Just like I do for mine. So I would say those two have played a major role.
And what motivates you when you get up in the morning to start your day? What's that big motivation factor in your life, Manny?
My family, my team, my boss motivates me, Amy, who's John Pfefferle's daughter and the president of our company, who's great, a great leader. I think just knowing that there is so much opportunity out there, that's waiting is very motivational. And again, just the kids, my partner, it's hard not to be motivated when you've got so many people who are cheering you on and a great company to work with.
Are there any properties in the area that you're working deals on right now? Not looking for specifics on the deals, obviously, but things that you are looking maybe that will become like a landmark transaction for the organization. Are there going to be any big announcements in the future, so to speak?
We're working on a handful of potential large transactions, and I'm going to keep knocking on wood. One is a large industrial deal that we are waiting for the green light on. Another one involves a corporate account that would potentially involve multiple locations in multiple states through that NAI global connectivity, and a few others that I can't speak about just yet, but there are a few that are also motivating me to get up in the morning and chase them pretty hard.
So how do you start a process like that? Can you give listeners how does the actual transaction or the deal, so to speak, start in your world?
Well, you just never know. One of my biggest business development wins started at a Fox Cities Chamber networking event. Met the right guy at the right time, at the right place. We just happened to sit next to each other and started talking, and followed up with a coffee meeting, and that led to a really large multinational account. So there's that. There's also the more purposeful, targeted win where, we do a lot of research and intel gathering on a prospect. And when we meet with that prospect, we have a pretty good idea of what we think are some real estate opportunities on the table, and we're much more specific and targeted when we meet with folks. So it really varies, right? There's no secret sauce for landing these large clients. It's such a relational business. And that's where I think AI can't touch that, or maybe not to the extent that we can as human beings, especially in our community in Northeast Wisconsin and in the state, where relationships matter, and, meeting somebody up for lunch or, for golf or whatever the case is, that those connections are really important.
Are you having fun?
I'm having a lot of fun. It's a great team. It's a fast-paced industry, very competitive. But what I like about our team is we compete, but we also work really well together. Most of our listings or properties that we have for sale and for lease have more than one broker on it, which is fairly rare. especially for some of the smaller listings. We just like to collaborate with folks and we do that better than average, especially in this dog-eat-dog industry.
Okay. We are at the point where we have to take our third break. You're listening to Biz Talk with Score and WHBY. We'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back. I would like to thank the sponsors and donors who bring Biz Talk with Score to you each weekend. We couldn't present Biz Talk without their generous support. Thank you to Hailing and Associates. Hailing and Associates helps small businesses and individuals not just prepare tax returns, but plan ahead. A collaborative approach that helps you minimize taxes for this year and beyond. Hailing and Associates. Personal connection, positive results. Thank you to Johnson Financial Group. Wherever you are in your life or the life of your business, Johnson Financial Group works to understand your goals and matches the banking and wealth services needed to help you complete your mission. Thanks to the Business News for promoting our program in the biweekly business newspaper serving Northeast Wisconsin. It contains relevant and useful information about the business community in this region. We'd also like to recognize the David L. and Rita E. Nelson Fund within the Community Foundation for the Fox Valley region for their generous donation and support of Biz Talk and Score Northeast Wisconsin. And with that, Manny, could you just let our listeners know how they could reach out and contact the Pfefferle Companies?
You bet. You can look me up on our website, or you can visit either naipfefferle.com. That's naipfefferle.com, or pfefferle.biz is our property management website. That's pfefferle.biz.
Okay. And in the time we have available now, what we really wanted to talk about here as we wrap up is something that came through in the conversation throughout the show, and that's the importance of collaboration for not just Pfefferle, but for the whole region. Can you talk a little bit about how that collaboration is so important to you and the region?
You bet. It takes a village to do this work. So I mentioned our brokers and the work they do and our clients. But when we're talking about marketing our region and our state, for that matter, to attract new companies and also new people, it's a really, really competitive landscape. And Rick knows that from his work, and you do too, Terry. So it really requires a lot of collaboration. So we work very closely with the New North, with regional economic development groups and local chambers of commerce, who are doing a great job of marketing their individual communities or regions. And hopefully out of those efforts come opportunities that might involve real estate, right? So it's really important for our company not only to work together with those folks, but also to invest and contribute financially to their organizations and their programs. And we do. We spread the love pretty well throughout the state. Now that we cover a big chunk of it, sometimes it's difficult to allocate funds to a number of organizations, but we do it because it's important. So really value their partnership, from, the local municipalities to county level to regional to state. And as I said, it takes a village.
Okay. So, as you have lived here for, I think you said 13 years now?
Just about.
Are you still thrilled and happy you moved here?
I sure am. Now that I get to see the kids grow up here and, kind of form their circles of friends and like it here, it's just validating, right? I work for a great company with great people and we're just very happy here. So no regrets.
Great. And first of all, I would like to thank you for being on the show as our guest. You have a really good story, both personally and with Pfefferle, and it's something we really want our listeners to learn a lot about. So it's been great to have you here. As we look at the future, you're one of the companies that's going to make a big difference in this area and really help. It's so important to bring, especially in regions manufacturing oriented as we are, to help bring up companies from the outside in, and we're glad to see you do that. So thank you for being on the show this week. For our listeners, you can find previous episodes at our website, score.org. Northeast Wisconsin, and you click on the Biztalk tab, or you can go to your favorite podcatcher like iTunes and Amazon, and you'll find our show there too as well. This episode will be published on next Wednesday on those sites, but especially would like to thank WHBY for their ongoing support. We've been on the air for, we think it's 25 years now, and we really appreciate all their support and help over that time. So everybody, have a great week, and we'll talk to you next week.